It's a lot going on right now. It's a lot. It's a lot in terms of us being responsible for creating a new world, creating a new culture, the way that we treat each other. You know? Like, that's really what's happening right now. And each of us, we could be feeling emotions surrounding that there's something inside that feels like there's something more that needs to happen or be created. And it's a push forward, but really it's as important as taking with you that light that's within you everywhere you go and consciously presenting it to whatever environment that you're in. Because that's really what the duty is. You know, and that's what that calling is. But what's happening to a lot of us is maybe that we thinking that where we want to be is somewhere where we're not. Where we want to shine is somewhere where we're not. Our position in our mind might be on a lower plane perceptually. You know what I'm saying? We thinking we here, and that we're not living to our fullest potential because we have an expectation and a perception that we should be somewhere else. But really our work is on the ground floor where you're at right now. And that's the challenge, is that we have to switch the way we see things in order to create a new world. You know what I mean? In order to create a new culture. It's just a small shift in perception. And what that entails is that things that don't seem so important, they're looked at as important because it's a means to make something happen. So it's like if I'm delivering mail, or I'm working a check stand, or I'm a waitress, or I'm driving buses, or whatever I got going on, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter because it's the same importance as the president's job. Real talk. It's the same importance as anybody who like, we'll say professional athletes, professional artists, actors, singers, models. It's all the same thing. The perception just has to change about it. Because what we're doing is, when we say something is better than something else, we're creating a system of hierarchy. And our mind is programmed to do this. And that's really where the issue lies, is in the way we're seeing things. So if we switched it and said, wow, my gardener's job is just as important, you know what I'm saying? Just as important as Mariah Carey singing. Real talk. We're all a part of this world. Every single cell. We are the cells of the earth. If you think one cell matters more than another, you're out your mind. It's a collective group job. Everything has to work in order for the earth to work. You know, and if there's enough of us going against the grain, we would call that the cancer. You know what I'm saying? And that's where when the perception's messed up, we're giving the earth cancer. That's when the culture has been brainwashed into thinking that someone is better than someone else, or someone is less than someone else. That does not exist in the realm of God. It does not exist. That is a false way of perceiving things, if you know what I'm saying. It's like, to really embody, to really pull together and know that there is no separation. There is no boundary between you and I. You know what I'm saying? It's all the same thing. That is a concept that sounds like, oh, this could be easy, but it's really not an easy concept, because are we living by it? And that's another thing, is that people, and we, let's say we, because I don't want to separate me and them, and you know what I'm saying, you and I. Nah, this is us. This is we. You know? we can actualize information because we have the brain to do so. That's what the brain is for. The brain makes sense and compartmentalizes things and puts them in certain categories on what is most important, you know? But the mind, you know, the mind, when something penetrates the mind, when the mind is able to connect, you know, not just the brain, not just making sense of it, you know what I mean? But actually being able to live and walk in it. The actions that show that you know that truth and that reality. Because that's the thing, a lot of people, a lot of us, we think that we know. But if we're not moving in that knowing, then we really don't know. You know, you can preach peace and love all day. But the sight of a conflict, you lose it. So do you know? You know, do we know when we're placed in these situations that are friction? You know? Are we able to surrender to the conflict? Are we able to surrender to the friction? Are we able to plant our feet and breathe? Are we able to send love and prayers? Are we able to stand in that? You know, that's really what's real. Can you control your emotions with compassion? And wow, can compassion control anything? Well, of course it can, because it overrides everything. Real compassion is a superpower. And guess what? The only way to obtain compassion is through the self first. If I cannot have 100% compassion for myself, I will never be able to extend it outside of myself. That's the type of compassion that moves culture, that moves perception. You know? It's a superpower. It's a superpower. Oh. Ooh wee.